Okay, so in the previous class, we have seen the SRAM. Okay, so it is one of the type of RAM structure, RAM memory. So we have seen static RAM. Next topic is dynamic RAM. So this static RAM, in that static RAM, the data that is stored is always in the form of static value or of the inverters, or you can say the steady state values of the inverter states, or two inverters are connected in cross coupled structure. So whatever states will be there, there will be two stable states. One is 0, another is 1. Okay, so two stable states will be there in case of cross coupled structures of inverters. So whatever steady state values are there, that is after reaching to a perfect 0 or perfect 1, or we can say after taking sufficient time to reach the saturated value, that at, or you can say stable value, that is 0 and 1, that will be the SRAM structure, that SRAM logic operation. Similarly in dynamic RAM, as the name suggests, it is dynamic. So the voltage, or the, you can say, the data or voltage that will be stored will be in the form of charge, and this charge will be stored on the parasitic capacitances. So the parasitic capacitance we have already seen. So any transistor is there, at each terminal there will be some parasitic capacitor. Okay, so at drain terminal, if we are seeing, so at drain, because of this, there will be a capacitor dB, GD, a capacitor is there. Okay, so whatever terminals are connected with respect to uh, the drain terminal, there will be a parasitic capacitances associated. So these parasitic capacitances will be having some value. So whatever parasitic capacitances are there, that will be charging and discharging with respect to the applied voltage. So this charging and discharging of parasitic capacitances is associated with a MOSFET that will be giving you out the data is stored, or that will be working as a memory element to store the data. Okay, so if a capacitor is there, if some charge is there, some voltage is stored, we see, and after storing the voltage, there is no connection. What if suppose there is a switch and this switch is made off, then whatever data is there onto this capacitor, that will be stored there, but it will take some time, and after some time this data will be whatever charge there, that will be reduces. Okay, so this charge value will reduce because of the leakage. So because of leakage, whatever charge is stored on these capacitors, parasitic capacitances, that will be reduced because of the leakage current. So because of this leakage, so whatever, suppose you have stored 1.5 volt, after suppose 1 hour, this reduced to 1.4 volt, or again it is reduced to 1.3, and so on. So this value will be reduced. So there may be, like initially it was 1.5, so it was logic 1. So once after suppose 10 hours, this data may be like 0.5 volt. So this 0.5 may be considered as logic 0. Okay, so there is a change in logic. Initially it was 1, but as there was no operation is being performed on this capacitor voltage, this reduced to 0.5 volt, that is equivalent to logic 0. That is just for an example. So it has just changed from logic 1 to logic 0. So that's why, to reduce, or to avoid this to avoid this structure, or to avoid this uh, leakage of the charge on the capacitor, or you can say to avoid this change in logic from 1 to 0, or similarly in 0 to 1 also, there may be some change in logic. To avoid this change, we need continuous or regular refresh. This should be requiring an extra circuitry. This refresh will be done by extra circuitry. So this extra circuitry will be required to made a refresh. So this refresh, what it will do is, once it is 1.5 volt, after suppose 3 hours, it has reduced to 1.3 volt. Then to again make it 1.5, we will be using the refresh. This refresh will always again make the voltage to 1.5 volt. Okay. So in case of dynamic RAMs, there is the requirement of refresh, okay, to again retain the whatever logic it was previously. Okay. So this is the disadvantage of dynamic RAMs, like it requires refreshing. Okay. So now we'll see what are the some structures of DRAMs. So what is the why the requirement of DRAMs are there? So because there were some disadvantages of your SRAM circuits. Okay, so your SRAM circuits having some disadvantages. So because of disadvantages of SRAMs, there is a need to have a DRAM structure. So some of the disadvantages of SRAM is like it requires 4 to 6 transistors, okay, to design the SRAMs per bit. Okay, so in SRAMs we have seen the operation of 60 SRAM. Okay, so the minimum transistor required is 40. So here 4 to 6 transistors are required per bit storage of the data. Okay, that means it is going to require large number of transistors per bit. If we need to store 1024 bit, that means that multiplied by the maximum, that is 6, that much of transistors are required to store 1024 bit of data. Okay, so that is a very much silicon area consuming circuit is there. Okay, so to reduce the area requirement, we will be reducing the number of transistors required to store per bit data. Okay, so from there we can see it requires high silicon area. Okay, so another disadvantage of this is here 4 to 5 different lines, bit line, word lines are used for each cell. So the memory structure is like word line, and so suppose this is bit line and this is word line. Okay, so different word line and bit lines are used. So around 4 to 5 bit lines and word lines are used to uh, communicate or to operate or to control a single bit memory structure. Okay. So this is also making or leading you to higher silicon area requirement. So we should be avoiding this type of disadvantage of SRAM. So that's why we are switching to DRAM. So the basic structures of DRAM are, so the first one is this one. Okay. So here cross coupled NMOS transistors are used. Okay, so cross coupled NMOS transistors will be used, and their terminal, or you can say parasitic capacitances at these terminals will be used to store the data. And these switches, two switches similar to SRAM, are used as word line controlling. Okay, so word line controlling, and 2 bit lines will be there. So here also 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 lines are being used. Okay, and overall 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 transistors are used, so it is 4T DRAM. Okay. Similarly, its modified version is 1 less than the 4T, that is, it is of 3T. 3T DRAM structure. So instead of 2 transistors that is used and 2 separate capacitors, parasitic capacitors are used to store the data. Here a single capacitor is being used. A single parasitic capacitor is used, a single transistor is used. And along with that, 2 word lines are there. Okay, so here 2 different word lines are used. One is for write select, another is for read select. And bit lines, one is for writing the data, one is for reading the data. So 2 bit lines, 2 separate bit lines are being used. Okay, so this is the modified one from the 4T to 3T DRAM. 3T means 3 transistors are being used. Similarly, another modified version is single T. That means this is called 1T. That is 1 transistor DRAM. So a single transistor can be used to design a dynamic RAM that can store a single bit, like 1 bit data can be stored. And here this capacitor, because it is a single transistor, so as there is a single transistor, it will be having very less capacitor. Parasitic capacitance will be less, is less. So instead of using the parasitic capacitances, some external capacitors are used. So this capacitor, this is called explicit storage capacitor. So some external capacitor is added or designed or fabricated to store the data. So these are called explicit storage capacitors. And 1 transistor will be used, single transistor will be used. So this is the modification to dynamic RAM from 4T to 3T to similarly 1T. So these are the 3 different structures of dynamic RAMs. So in this course, we will basically see the operation of 3T dynamic RAM. Okay. So here 3T will be used basically for the operation point of view, and in industry point of view, this single T is used in industry point of view. Why? Because to increase the density. So for higher density, this 1T transistor, 1T dynamic RAMs are being used at industry. That means for industry point of view, these 1T dynamic RAMs are most preferred because at smaller chips, on a single chip, we are today requiring more and more number of memory space is required. So based on the demand, the uh, higher chip integration or higher density is required. So 1T DRAMs are mostly preferred. So now we will see the operation of 3T dynamic RAM, 3 transistor dynamic RAMs. So this is the 1 bit dynamic RAM cell that is of 3T. Okay, so in that 3T, along with this structure, there is some extra circuitry is also used. So this is an extra circuitry that is having an extra transistor, NMOS transistor, that is having input called data bar. That will be an input. Okay, and here this bit line is called data in. That means this will be the bit line from where we will be providing the input data, and this is the bit line at which we will be taking the output. So if we are going to write the data, this data in will be used to write the data onto this capacitor. Similarly, this data out, that will be the line at which the output of the DRAM structure, the DRAM cell will be taken from this line. Okay, and here PC, this is called pre-charge device. or you can say precharge control, precharge device. So this is precharge. When this is precharge, that means if it is active, this precharge means we are going to charge the line. So this line will be charged similar to the SRAM structure. We will be, before going to perform any operation, we will be pre-charging these two lines, data in and data out. And this is write select, read select. This is called read select, and this is called okay. So write select. So whenever we are going to read data from this capacitor, we will be activating this read select. Similarly, if we are going to write some data to this capacitor or this parasitic capacitor, we will be using this write select. And similar to this SRAM structure, these uh, bit lines, or you can say data lines, data in and data out, will be having some capacitor. Okay, so these capacitors are C2 and C3. So here it is considered like C2 and C3 capacitors will be having slightly higher value than our parasitic capacitors. That means, what is the advantage of this? If this is the value, C2 and C3 are greater than C1, then it will be taking large time or some more time to charge and discharge, but the charging and discharging of C1 should be fast. Okay, so the charging of C2 and C3 should be having should be taking larger time, because based on these two values, uh, the sense amplifiers are being used to sense the data at these two lines. These two lines data will be sensed, and these two lines data will be sensed, and according to that the decision will be made, like whether 0 is stored or 1 is stored. Okay, so that's why the charging and discharging of these two values should not be uh, very fast. So it should be having a smaller uh, uh, charging and discharging should be slow, so that the data should not be changing frequently at these two nodes. Okay, this is the basic configuration. So here M1 transistor that is used for reading and writing the data, or you can say while writing the data, this will be activated, and for reading the data, M3 transistor is activated. So for read, M3 is activated, and for write, M1 is activated. So we will see to how the operations are being performed. So this is the timing diagram, we can say, the waveform, different waveforms associated with the 3D dynamic RAM during different operations. That is, either we are writing the data, reading the data, then writing a 0, here writing 1 and reading a 0. So for different operations, how the different signals should be activated, we will see that one by one. And before writing or before performing any operation, we will be activating the pre-charge. Okay, so similar to the DSRAM, in DRAM also, we will be having pre-charge. And once we have pre-charge, so to make this pre-charge, just a minute. Okay. So once we will be making the pre-charge, so this pre-charge is 1. So once this pre-charge is 1, this pre-charge is 1. So whatever data is there, if it is 1, so this transistor is on, MP1 and MP2 are on. So VDD will be stored on this line. Okay, so VDD will be stored at this line, this data in and data out. And at that time, data bar should be 0, because at pre-charge when data bar is 1, whatever data is there on this will be connected to ground, so that should not be there. So while pre-charge is there, this data bar will be equals to 0. So once the precharge is there, okay, that will be high. At that time, write select and read select, that two will be equals to 0. It will not be 1, it will be 0, because there once precharge there will be no operation of write and read. Okay, and at that time your data bar should be equals to 0. So data bar is equals to 0. That means the transistor connected here, that is this one, that is called read write access. This will be deactivated. So whatever data is there on data in bit line, that will be 1. So at that time data in will be 1, because at pre-charge data in will be 1. So data in is, this is your data in. Okay, and similarly at that time the data out will also be 1, because both data in and data out are pre-charge. And stored data means data stored at C1 capacitor, whatever parasitic capacitors are there, whatever data is stored at parasitic capacitor, that will be equals to initially 0. Suppose we are going to write the data 1. If we are going to write the data, when we are going to write the data, at that time PC should be equals to 0. Okay, so PC should be equals to 0, and we are going to write, means write select will be activated. So write select will be 1. Okay, and read select at that time also it will be 0. Okay, so write select should be activated. Okay, so write select is activated, that means M1 transistor is on. Okay, so M1 transistor is on, and that time M3 is off. So M1 is on, M3 is off, and initially C1 is equals to 0, or the data stored is equals to 0. So M2 will also be off. Okay, so the condition will be this. So this is the condition. So once the precharge was there, so at precharge the capacitor C2 and capacitor C3 both will be charged to VDD. Okay, so both will be charged to VDD, and then if we are going to write the data 1, then this will be activated and this M2 will be off, because initially C1 is equals to 0 and M3 will be off. So the circuit formed is from C2 to M1 to C1. Okay, so here this is initially it was as 0 logic and this was VDD. So there will be a current flowing from this logic from C2 to this. So there will be a charge sharing between C2 and C1 will be taking place once M1 is on. Okay, so this will make, from this we can see, okay, so at that time, so data bar will be equals to 0, because whatever data is there, data in value is there, that should not be equals to 0, that should be 1. Okay, so once we are writing the data, at that time once M1 transistor is on, the data input will be at logic 1, sorry, at VDD or logic 1, and data stored will also be changing from 0 to a value that is higher, that is logic 1. Okay, and data out, so data out, what is data out is there, it was initially pre-charged by VDD, and after that there is no connection to pre-charge. This capacitor is not connected to anything, so there will be no discharge of data will be there. So this C3 will be remaining the VDD at VDD. That means this data line will be at, data out will be at equals to high value. So data out will be equals to at high value. Okay. Similarly, to perform the next operation, we will be again making the pre-charge. Okay, so once the pre-charge is done, all others will be the initial condition according to initial condition. So it will be equals to 0, because there is no operation is performed. This is also equals to 0, and whatever stored data is there, that will always be the same, because in pre-charge the data stored will be the same value, and data in at this pre-charge will be equals to 1. Data out should be also equals to 1, and when pre-charge is there, data bar should be equals to 0. Okay, so now the next mode is read 1. So we are going to read the data at whatever is stored on the logic that is logic 1, that is stored on capacitor. So while reading the data, PC will be equals to 0. So at that time, write select will be equals to 0 and read select equals to 1. Okay, so this will be equals to 1. So at that time, when read select will be equals to 1, so once read select is equals to logic 1, it will be turning on to transistor M3, and previous to that C1 was the capacitor that was having the VDD value because it was charged initially. Okay, so this charged value VDD will be making this M2 transistor on, so M2 will also be on. So at this time, this C3 capacitor will be having a connection so that there will be a current flowing through this transistor. Okay, so this will be making this transistor on, so there will be a current flowing in this direction. That means whatever VDD value stored at the pre-charge at C3 capacitor will be discharged by using M2 and M3. Okay, so the discharge of C3 capacitor by using M2 and M3 will be read by data out. So this is data out. So whatever data out circuitry connected to here, there will be an extra circuit, or we call it a sense amplifier. Sense amplifier will be there. It will sense the data at this line. Whatever data out is there, whatever data is there, if this data initial data was VDD and it is going to discharge, if it is going to discharge, that means this will indicate like the stored data into the capacitor is equals to logic 1. Okay, so the discharging of C3 capacitor will be indicating like this capacitor is having 1 data. Okay, so this is how the write and read 1 logic will be performed. So similarly, if we are going to write 0, okay, so if we are going to write 0, so this at that time the data in logic should be equals to 0, or we can say this C2 capacitor voltage after pre-charge it was initially VDD, but it will be discharged while writing 0 by using the data in bar, data bar that we have connected here. So data bar, this data bar will be used. This data bar will be used to make this data line, data in line to equals to 0 while writing the data. So in the waveform we can see, so while we are writing the 0, write select will be activated, and at that time data bar will be equals to 1. Okay, so at this time data bar is equals to 1. That means whatever data is there, if okay, so if this is initially this line will be data by using data bar. If this is on, that means it will be going to 0. So this is connected to like a 0 logic. So once this is connected to 0 and this transistor is on, so whatever data is stored on this, that will be discharged by using this connection. Okay, so this discharging will be making this value stored at C1 capacitor will be equals to 0. Okay, so this capacitor value will be equals to 0. So this value will be working as the logic 0 stored on the other retained on the capacitor C1. Okay, similarly, if we are going to read the data, so in case of reading the data, read select will be activated and write select will be 0, and at that time data bar will be deactivated, that is equals to 0. So reading will be performed by the whatever logic is there at this point. So while reading the data, initially it will be pre-charged. Okay, so it will be pre-charged to VDD, and this signal, this read select will be activated. So it is initially 0. Okay, so when we are going to read a 0, so C1 will be having a value that is 0. That means this transistor will be off, M2 will be off, and M3 will be on. Okay, So M2 will be off, M3 is on, and this C3 is connected to having a data that is VDD, and this VDD will this C3 will not be finding any path to discharge this value VDD. That means whatever VDD value is stored, that will remain VDD. So whatever data read circuitry is there, that is sense amplifier will detect like there is no change in C3 value, or there is no change in the stored value at transistor C3. As there is no change in this value, that means the value stored on C1 is equals to 0. Okay, so this is how the sense amplifier behaves, and that will simplify whether the data out signal is 0 or 1, or this will be detected whether based on the discharging of this C3. So in the pre-charge it will be charged, but while reading the data, if it is discharging, that means C1 is having a logic 1. If it is not discharging, there will be no path for discharging, that means C1 is equals to 0. So either 1 is stored or 0 is stored, that will be read by data out signal. Okay, so this is how the reading and writing of the data is done. Okay, so this is like how the write zero operation is performed. So while writing the data, this will be making the connection directly to ground. So whatever data is there at C3 and C2, that will be connected to 0. So this will be reducing the value of C1. And similarly for reading the data, this will be transistor off will be there. This will be stored at 0. So if 0 volt is there, this will be making this transistor off, and this is on. So there will be no discharge path, and it will remain at high. So this data out will be remained at high. That means there is a 0 stored at the C1 transistor. This is how the operation of uh, dynamic ramps will be given. So up to here, it is the SRAM and DRAM operations basically. Okay, so DRAM operation is basically in terms of the 3T transistor, the 3T DRAM cells. So if if you have any problem, you can questions you can ask. Otherwise, we will be closing, and we will see the next topic in the next class. Yes.